What's going on, guys? My name is Jimmy Miller. You're watching episode 2 of Cash Code. Cash Code is my new podcast where I interview people in the tech space and interview them about their jobs and their careers and how they got to where they are now. And we're diving into this world of the tech space today. And I got a really good friend here today, my man, Kellin White. Kellin, why don't you introduce yourself, bro?
So my name is Kellin White. I've been doing IT since 2006. I am a lead software engineer at MasterCard.
Okay, big time.
Yeah. I've been with MasterCard for about 5 going on 6 years.
Wow.
Previously, I was with Enterprise.
Nice.
Enterprise Rent-A-Cars with them for 12 years. But I'm a lead software engineer. I work mostly in automated testing.
Okay, got you.
Right.
You just said a whole lot. So let's start. So first off, we gotta dial it all the way back. We're educating people from ground zero.
Yeah.
So first off, what is IT?
IT. Well, it's funny because a lot of your big companies are now consider themselves IT companies.
Okay.
Well, we're speaking about Enterprise Rent-A-Car. So when people think about Enterprise, they think about what? Renting
renting a
cars.
car, right? Yeah, that's all we know.
Exactly. But Enterprise themselves internally does not think of themselves as a car rental company. They see themselves as a technology company.
That's crazy. Interesting.
Yeah.
And why is that? Why do they think of themselves as a technology company?
Because
so when you say IT means information technology, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. So the information technology, and so what their business is driving on is the software they use to rent the cars.
Gotcha.
Right. So it's really tied into being able to create your own software, your own internal tools, and your own application to be able to support your business.
Okay.
And so a lot of companies, even MasterCard, they're not a car business, card business.
Yeah, I got
it. They see themselves as the IT business, right? They see themselves as selling software and selling application and selling tools and services instead of just supplying routes for credit cards and debit cards and such.
Okay, so again, now my mind is going. So first off, I got a lot of questions for you, bro. So first off, what does it mean to be a software engineer? That's what you said, right?
Yes, lead software engineer.
Lead. Put some respect on his name. lead software engineer at MasterCard. So that's big time. What is a software engineer, man? Because I am just so I can flex a little bit, I am the senior web developer of Revolt.tv, but I'm a web developer. And sometimes they call us software engineers, and we are not software engineers. So if you could please educate the people, educate the companies on what a lead software developer is.
No problem. Well, to go with a software engineer, what you're doing is that you're usually writing code. Most likely you're writing in some object-oriented language. And I know we have beginners, so let me...
Yeah, I was going to say...
Let me jump into that.
Object-oriented. What's them college words? Hold on.
Object-oriented language is your Java. Your C++, your C#, your VB.NET. It is languages that uses objects to be able to either store data, create variables and the such. And you have, on the other side, you have your scripting languages. This is your Python. This is your JavaScript. And these languages, they don't have objects.
Object-oriented. What is an object?
We get into an object. An object is they used to have gonna get pretty deep, and I'm gonna try not to get pretty deep.
Get deep in the weeds. That's what we're here for. That is what we are educated. Listen, you educated me right now because I was like, I know what JavaScript is, but C++, C#. I'm like, okay.
Yes. So the object. What the object allows you, and that was a big breakthrough when they actually started creating objects in programming languages. And what the object allows you to do, it allows you to give some parameters and features and information to this object, and this object holds all this information and allows you to pass it around in your methods so that you can modify and do things with it later. That big breakthrough in that language, which spurred all these other languages. So the object-oriented languages are some of the ones that handles most of your major programming. Most of your major companies are all using, even for your application, your Facebooks and stuff like that, even for some of your apps in the Apple Store and the Google Store. The majority of them are all using these object-oriented languages because you can do a lot more with them. They're more dynamic and complex than your regular scripting language that you can write with your Python, your JavaScript. Okay,
I got it. Got you. Okay, so now let's take it all the way back. We're gonna go all the way back. How did you become the lead? I'm about to say web developer, the lead software engineer for MasterCard. Take me through your career, your journey. How do you get there?
My journey. It depends on how far back you want to go.
Let's go from high school into college.
High school into college. So high school is funny.
Isn't it always?
It's funny. So I was blessed to have a brother that got elected to a magnet school. And so from that, I was able to get to a magnet school. And within my magnet school, they had software development as a, take it back. We had to choose our majors in our sophomore year, going into our junior year. And the major I chose when going into my junior year in high school was software engineer. And so I had always been into computers, always enjoyed computers, always been in some type of advanced computer classes. And so I decided to dive into computers.
Subtle flex.
Dive into computers.
Advanced. Okay.
Just a little bit. But I dove into it my junior year. And I enjoyed it. I loved it. I remember my senior year. They had you to write down your goals and what you want to be in college. And the thing I wrote down is that not in college, what you wanted to, after college and you graduate, what you want to be. And there was two things I said I wanted to be. One, I wanted to either be a real estate agent or I wanted to be a software engineer. I wrote that at 18 years old. I said I want to go to college and I want to get a degree in computer science. 5 years later, I did just that. I went down to Southeast Missouri State. SEMO. I went on a full athletic scholarship. And so I played football, college football, and computer science, which was not a normal thing.
Yeah, smart athlete.
Yeah, not a normal thing to do. I believe when I graduated, I was the only athlete in the whole computer science degree, and my graduating class, I was the only black guy to graduate in my major. And so I was kind of a double minority, being both an athlete and also being black, graduating from my class.
SEMO vibes.
Exactly
what it was.
And so I graduated with actually a major in computer science. I had a minor in mathematics. I could have double majored.
Oh, you were smart.
I enjoy math. I've always enjoyed math.
That's crazy.
I've always enjoyed math. And that's in order to be proficient at computer science, it is very important to get into the maths.
Listen, I'll put a pin in that, bruh. I was a computer science major for a whole semester. Listen, I got there my freshman year. I was a computer science major, and the math is what made me quit. Like, listen, I think applied statistics is what took me out. I was like, I can't do this. I went to my professor. I was like, I don't even know what he's saying. He teaches the statistics, but it sounds like, I don't know what he's saying. I don't know what he's saying. I was like, by the grace of God, made it out that class with a B.
Wow.
But I was like, I could not do it. And so I was like, what else can I do that's still in the IT field that's not so much math? And I was like, well, what if I stuck with it? And he like basically pulled out this long scrolling list. He was like, I was like, that's all the math? That's just the math? It's like, I was like, so what else can I do? So what are my other options? But anyway, you were talking about your story and your journey.
Yeah, definitely.
I just remember like, I was doing that and I was like, I couldn't handle it.
Yeah.
Did you have a life? Because I feel like
Oh,
there's no way you were an athlete and you were a computer science major and had a life. Like, bro, you was in the house.
it was a balancing act
Mhm.
there. It was a balancing act. Being able to balance your major was computer science, and also in all the maths. Went all the way up to calculus 3. Did discrete math for those who really haven't had a chance. That's for the first couple of months. You don't even touch numbers. It's logic math. So you deal with true false trees and stuff like that.
It's not a real number. It ain't. Have you used discrete math?
Absolutely.
Okay. All right. Then it's justified.
You get down to the basic of computers, down to the very bare minimum of computers. It's zeros and ones.
Right. Yeah.
True and falses. And that's what you do in discrete math. You learn true and false, which is 0 and 1.
How about all the calculus though?
All the calculus, I failed calculus 2. Not gonna lie, I failed calculus 2. It's funny because my calculus 2 teacher in the summer failed calculus 2 when he was in college.
Wow.
So it's a very hard
He was like,
math.
me too, man.
Yeah, it encouraged me. It encouraged me.
I'm teaching you. I failed too. Like, I'm failing right now. No.
But yeah, so I went through all that math. And it was good though. I enjoyed the math. I enjoy doing all that. But as far as having a life, that's the point you were getting. It's a balance. I didn't have a computer until my I think sophomore year. I didn't have a computer. And so I had to go to the computer lab to do all my computer work. Right. And sometimes I had football practice until about 5, 6. And so either I could computer lab after football practice, after I eat, or I had to do it right before class. And so it was a balancing act. But I was able to do it and still be successful in football and actually be successful.
With a social life a little bit.
It was there. It was there. But met my wife there. So
the UC ball. Yeah, like, listen, y'all. He laughing because he know. The UC ballroom used to be popping. Everybody that went to SEMO, y'all know exactly what I'm talking about. Yeah, But yeah, so through college, you were a software. You were a computer science major.
Yes.
And so when you graduated, did you have a job lined up? Like, what was the transition into the actual field?
That's the hardest thing. The hardest thing to do is to now you graduate and now you go through the
what next
part. And you're trying to get applications, you're trying to get jobs, you're going through applications and you don't meet the criteria because you don't have enough schooling. Have enough work experience.
Yeah.
Well, you don't have enough work experience because you don't have a job. Well, you don't have a job because you don't have work experience. So you go through that cycle.
Vicious cycle.
Oh, it's terrible.
Oh, man.
But I was blessed. I would say this. I was truly blessed. I was able to get an internship at Enterprise.
Nice.
I didn't need schooling. I didn't need any of that. I was able to get that internship.
Was it paid?
Yeah. Oh, yes.
That's even better.
Yes, it was paid. And so it was funny because what got me the job was football.
Okay.
So the recruiter talked to me and she was very interested in me being a dual athlete, being both a student and an athlete.
How did the recruiter find you? Were you like on LinkedIn or
I went to one of the big meet and greets where the recruiters and you give your application and they found me through that one of those.
So it was like a career events. Got you.
One of them career events.
Job fair. Got it.
Fair.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's how they met me. And so I talked to the lady and I had information and she was really big on that because she was explaining how working for a team as in corporate is very similar to working on a sports team. And she's very interested that I was able to keep grades up. I was able to get the degree, to get the minor and be successful in sports. And she was like, this should be a shoe-in because you can just use those same skills that you use to be successful in the sports in your field and your career.
Yeah.
So yeah.
That makes sense. And so so graduate college, job fair. What was the time frame between graduating, job fair, job?
Yeah. Again, blessed. I graduated in May. Went to a job fair maybe May, June, and I had the internship by July, August.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
And it's just like, ain't it beautiful how God orchestrates things?
Absolutely.
So
absolutely.
you say you started working in June.
About July, I think July, August, I started working. July,
So
August.
literally like 3 months later, almost 3 months later, you started in the field, and you were at Enterprise. And how long were you at Enterprise?
Again,
Tell me about that role, and what were you there? Were you junior software? They were like you were an intern. So I mean,
so I was intern. I did all the intern work.
Oh,
so I did the work that no one else really wanted to do.
Coffee.
But
coffee.
Oh, something like that. But it was like the work no one really wanted to do. Some of the low hanging fruit type of work. But that internship ended up turning into, because I was there and people knew me and I did a good enough job that I wasn't red taped or said, don't hire this kid back.
Yeah.
The internship turned into, I was able to get a permanent position because I was already in Enterprise. They knew the work, they knew my quality. And so later into a different department, I got a full-time job at Enterprise. And then I was there for 12 years.
Jeez.
Started off at low junior software developer, working my way up to I had 3-4 projects going on at the same time. I was creating my own testing frameworks, creating my own. And again, I went into automation.
Okay.
I haven't really got a chance to talk about what that is.
Yeah.
So I went into test automation. So an easy way to explain it is that, let's say you have a website.
Yeah.
Let's use google.com. And Google wants to test their website to make sure there's no bugs or issues or problem with their Google page.
Right.
Or even or we could take the Enterprise rent-a-car page. Let's take that a little bit easier. And so you want to be able to fill out the first page. You get the login page,
right?
And they ask for your personal information, your name, when you want to rent it, and stuff like that. And then it goes to another page where you actually choose the location, and then another page where you actually pick the car, and another page where you check out.
Okay.
Well, if you manual test that means a person actually sits down, puts in the information, goes through the 4 pages.
Got it.
What I was an automation engineer. And so what I did is that I did what a manual tester would do, but I used computer code, a robot to do that. Yeah, absolutely.
So, and that was my dumbed, watered down version for you people. So when we say robot, it's not a literal robot. It's more like it's like a scripting, right?
Yes.
Almost. Yeah. So did you use scripting languages to build your test automation systems, or did you use object-oriented languages? Like what did you
It's funny because we started off very low tech. We started off with scripting languages. We started off with what they call record and playback. That's the very early stages of test automation was record and playback. Record and playback means you record yourself doing the actions, filling in the information, the last name, and then the system records all of that and turns it into code. And then if you want to test the application, you just play it back.
Right.
That's the very low level, the very entry level that we did at the very beginning. I was a part of.
Is that a software that you use to do that?
Yes.
Okay.
It is a software that captures the information. Yeah.
Okay.
It captures the information that you're doing, and it records it, and it makes up the code itself.
Got it.
It's very basic though. So if you wanted to do something new,
okay,
it creates the code for you, right? So you're not really developing much.
You're not in the weeds.
Yeah, you're not really in the weeds.
The software is not. That's not basic.
The software,
it's recording you doing code.
That's true.
But anyway, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
No, you're perfectly correct. But what we did, we transitioned from the record and play back because it was very limited in the different type of testing you can do to creating our own testing framework. And with our own testing framework, we created it in such a way that we could modify it to do whatever we needed to do. And so what we did, and I'm going to go into another term, we use the page object model. Page object model. Okay. Try to be very quick with this.
Yeah.
So the page object model, what that does is for, again, technical terms, GUI pages. Well, GUI pages
graphical user interface.
There we go, sir. Appreciate that. GUI pages. So usually those are your websites, right? And so it it captures all of the objects on that page. That's your text boxes, your radio boxes, your buttons, your clicks, your back button, anything you can interact with, it captures that object. And then it stores that object in a repository. And then you write actions for those objects. And then you write program for those actions, and then you create a script.
Yeah, I can't believe I'm tracking with this right now. Like, you're doing such a good job at explaining this. I'm like, I get it. Like, cool.
And that's the page object model. And we change from scripting to that because a text box is a text box. Doesn't matter what page it's on. It's a text box.
Right.
All you need to know is how to find
the text box.
Text box. There you go. And so you can write generic code to interact with a text box.
Yes.
And then you can use it for all of your text boxes.
Right.
And so we changed to that, and that became more of the developer piece where I'm writing code, I'm creating the objects, I'm creating the methods to interact with those objects. And so that's where we really got deeper and the test automation got more and more advanced.
Right. Okay, so you were at Enterprise. What are you testing? What is that like trade secrets?
No. I can talk because it's very some of it's very known. We're testing the rental applications.
Okay.
So
what are you? Okay.
It's two pieces. So we're testing the rental application. So this is the application that the enterprise employees are using when they rent you a car. Okay. So when you give them your information, or when they pull up your information, they're using the enterprise branded software.
Okay.
And so we're testing that software to make sure that if there's any features, again, I'm getting to some of the jargon.
Keep going.
If there's any features or any added functionality, we're making sure that still works. And then we're doing what we call regression testing. Regression testing is making sure that even though you've added new stuff, the old stuff still works as you planned it to be.
Yeah.
And so the eCars application, which is actually called eCars, that's what the rentals use. And then there is the customer facing applications, which is the website. And so I did testing for Alamo, enterprise.com, national.com, because they're all the same people. We actually test those applications in our test frameworks and make sure that there's no bugs or issues or problems within those applications.
Okay. So in layman's terms, I think I got it. You're testing to see if the apps for Enterprise, when you were at Enterprise, were functioning properly and that they were user friendly. Is that correct? Or that they were good? Or
I'm focusing more on the functionality than I am about user friendly.
Okay.
I'm not really. There's
nothing to do with the interface.
We do, but we don't. There's another team that deals with user interface. Okay. We're just making sure that the functionality is going. Like when you put your name in, it goes to the next page. Does the name follows? Gotcha. It's still the same name. When you put your address in, is the address still following? When you put your credit card information in, or when you add in different features for the car you rental, like a car seat, making sure that all that populates correctly, that the price populates correctly, and stuff like that.
What happens when that falls apart? When it doesn't work?
Then we're creating what we call defects. Okay. So if there's an issue and the functionality is not occurring as you expect, you create a defect. And what that is saying that this code is not working as we expect it to work. And therefore we write a defect so that someone can go back, relook at the functionality, and then make change to the core code of the application to get it to work as we expect.
Okay, and that's what's up. Okay, I can't believe I'm understanding you. Like, not by any means, I could not do what he does. Like, this guy is top notch.
Thank you.
But so now we're back on the story. So you were at Enterprise Rent-A-Car for 10 or 12 years.
12 years.
12 years.
12 years.
And then you go to
MasterCard.
And what was the transition like? Recruiter hit you up. It was like, yo, you ain't gonna believe this. Like,
I can't believe this. So it leads me to one of the points I wanted to make today. Yeah. And that for all those you guys are learning this right here. The point I want to make, and I don't know if they teach you this in school, but the biggest thing is not just about what you know. The biggest thing is about who you know. So let's take my transition to MasterCard. I was trying to be a lead software engineer in MasterCard. Enterprise. I was just a senior software engineer, and I was trying to be a lead. When I say lead, I have bigger responsibilities, and so I'm usually leading a project or leading a team, or leading teams, right, to a particular project application, so on and so on. And so I was doing that at Enterprise. As a senior, I was leading. I had several projects that I was leading, and there was an open lead position that I was trying to get, and couldn't get it. Actually,
After
no
being out
one
for
had
12
got it.
years. What?
No one had got it. The position was just sitting there open, and they interviewed 3 of us, and they didn't fill the position.
Playing games.
And that's what it felt like. It really did. And
Fumbled the bag. That's all.
they really did. I was really missed when I left. And I ain't trying to flex, but I was.
I'm going flex.
but exactly, they fumbled the bag. Exactly what you said. But I had a manager that was there, and he wanted to promote me, but he couldn't. And so he felt the hierarchy keeping him bounded, and so he jumped ship. And when he jumped ship, he went to MasterCard, and he told me, he said, I am going to MasterCard. I'm going to need a lead software engineer.
Bruh, look at God.
Exactly, brother.
Won't he do it?
My entire story is you can sum it down about the blessings of the Lord.
Yeah, talk about it.
The doors were open for me. You can talk about your intelligence. You can talk about being smart. You can talk about doing your part.
Yes.
But you have to understand when the Lord opens a door for you.
Come on now.
So he leaves and goes to MasterCard, and I've been with Enterprise for 12 years, and I feel like I should be loyal to the company. But he hits me up. He said, "Hey, Kellin, I got a lead. Just apply. Just apply." And I really fought it. I didn't want to do it, but I went ahead and I applied anyway. And it's funny because my first interview was with him, the person that told me to.
It's like
my
easy.
initial interview was with the guy. Exactly, it was an easy interview, and so it was just semantics. Nothing really. We knew, he knew what I can do. He was with me for a year or so, and so I had a follow-up interview. This follow-up interview was supposed to be with him and a director and like 2 other managers. I get suited and booted, get my nice clothes on. I go to MasterCard. I go to where I'm going to have my interview, and it's just him.
But that's look, you got, so this is interview number 2.
This is the second interview.
That's crazy.
This is the second interview with which is going to be the last interview, and it's just him. And
it's the same guy.
It's the guy who told me to apply for the position. So needless to say, I got it.
No. How? Like, please tell me more. That's crazy, bro. And then that was the final round, and it was basically him going, "You're hired."
Yeah, pretty much. It was formality.
Okay, so how did you feel when you got the phone call that you got it? Was it a phone call, or was the interview really like, "Yeah, just sign here"? Like it was.
It was a phone call. It was a phone call, and I was at Enterprise. I was trying to work hard, do my job. And they called me, they sent me over an offer letter, which I had to double take. Well, I had to realize how much Enterprise was underpaying me.
When they sent the offer letter?
I got the offer letter from MasterCard. I realized how.
Okay. So we're going to educate y'all really fast. Listen, he works for a financial company. So finance companies in particular, I'm pretty sure you're making over 6 figures. I know, because financial companies, if you're in this space, you understand that finance companies, financial fintech, specifically financial technology is a really hot ticket area. They carry a lot of money because everybody uses money. Everybody uses money. It's a worldwide thing. So those companies tend to have more money to give to their employees. So He making it back.
I'm doing good. I'll just say that.
Now listen,
doing very good.
Listen to how rich he just sounded. Ain't that exactly what rich people say?
I'm blessed.
Listen to that. Listen, hear the bass in his voice. I'm doing really good right now. But yeah, so if you're looking to get into this space, there's so many segments of technology in the world of technology that you can get into. Another space that pays very well, even for low end jobs, is the medical space. So medical care, anything like that. You get into software development, program assistant. What are some low level tech jobs like? I guess like sometimes web development is pretty low level, like junior developer.
Testing.
Mm-hmm.
Get into
testing, QA testing, yeah, pretty basic. QA testing, quality assurance testing. Mm-hmm. I don't know why I stumbled on that. I knew that, but quality assurance testing. But those in the medical space and in the financial space is often those jobs are going to pay more. Also, sometimes startups, depending on what kind of startup it is, they pay a lot. So you are now, let's jump back into the story. You are now the lead software developer, and so now
software engineers.
Engineers
is how they're trying to label it now.
What's the difference between an engineer and a developer?
A developer, you're kind of just talking about code. An engineer is engineering things.
Okay.
And so, to be honest, I do very little coding nowadays.
Okay, that's nice.
Very little coding. I do more engineering and leading projects than I do coding on a daily basis.
So would it be safe to say you take more so of the components of things and make them do something different from what the developers create something? You take what they've developed and then you repurpose it almost?
I'm going to give you guys a word to look up, some homework.
Okay.
And the homework I'm going to give you guys is SDLC. SDLC, Software Development Life Cycle.
Okay.
If you're going to do anything in development or engineering, you have to know SDLC.
Okay.
The software development life cycle is how it works. And so with that, there's it changes, but it's 6 main components. You have your planning. So this is what people are planning. If you're planning, so all of this is to do an application. So just say we have a hypothetical application, all right? And we're trying to find out, okay, well, how do we create this application? There's usually 6 steps, and it's part of this software development life cycle. One is planning. So what are you trying to do? What are you trying to create? And you're trying to create an app that you can store passcodes. So that's your thought, right? So you're trying to plan to create this application. So the first phase is planning. Second phase is defining requirements. Okay. All right. So are we using a database to store it? Are we using a real-time database? Are we using Oracle and Access? What are we using to store the data? And what are we going to do? Is it going to be a cloud-based application? Is it going to be on physical hardware for servers? It's going to be enterprise level. It's going to be a small level. And that's, again, you're defining the requirements of what you're trying to do.
Pause. Okay. He said enterprise again, but I need you guys to understand that it's not enterprise rent-a-car. It's enterprise as in a large business corporation. Okay. So planning, defining requirements, and you threw out a bunch of different softwares. I'm familiar with a little bit of those. If you could explain maybe what some of those are, like Oracle, Access.
Yeah. So those are all databases.
Okay.
Access is a database. Oracle is a database. Database is just a tool you use to store information.
Okay.
Right. And so depending on what you want to do, you need to use a certain type of database to store your information. And anything you're doing, you're going to store information.
Okay.
Also, I talked a little bit about the cloud.
Yeah.
And so
I was just about to ask, is that cloud computing? Or
so cloud computing is different. No matter what you do,
storage,
you need storage. And even cloud storage is still on the back end. There's some hard storage going on, which is part of our Oracle database somewhere. But your cloud is just what you use to, you can do cloud computing, or you can have your application in the cloud. And all that really means is that your application isn't tied to a physical server. It's not too much to say that MasterCard has servers. We have the main server in St. Louis is where we work at. And so that's where the main server. And so the application is in St. Louis. But when you're on the cloud, your application is spread out around the world.
A bunch of different
And so that helps on your user interface, because if they're interacting with your application, they're not routing all the way back to St. Louis. They're routing to wherever the closest cloud instance is.
I just learned all of that just now. I mean, I understood it, but it was like, yeah, that's dope.
Yeah. So that's a quick summary of those pieces.
All right. So now we're on step 3.
Step 3, design.
Okay.
So this is when you're figuring out, okay, what type of coding language you're going to use. What type of interaction do you want in your application? What type of format? What type of user interface? Is it going to be API? API is behind the scenes. It's not the GUI. It's what happens behind the scenes. Or is it going to be a GUI facing application? So you make all the decisions in your design phase. So planning, defining requirements, design, then you have your development. So that's when you actually start developing the application. And then you have your testing, and then you have your deploying and maintenance. That is the software development lifecycle. And so anything you're going to do, for anyone that's learning software, they have to understand, you need to understand the software development lifecycle. And even with that, there's a branch of different ways to do things. Waterfall, agile. I don't want to get too far into that, but it's different ways to do it. But at its core, if you know anything about development, you have to know software development lifecycle and those 6 steps.
Okay. And how long do you spend like in the planning process and in the defining process, just in those 2 in particular? Because when I listened to you, I was like, that seems like it would take a long time.
Well, very quickly, have you noticed that applications come out very fast now?
Yes.
Yeah. How much fast they used to come out than previous?
Yeah.
That's because at the core, the methodology changed. We used to do what we call waterfall, which is a very slow process. You spend the bulk of your time in defining requirements and design. The majority of your time, is the heavy. You're top heavy. Yeah. You're heavy on that end. The majority of development now is all what we call agile. Yeah. And the way that agile works is that it's exactly pop. It's based in iterations. It's you do it in 2-3 weeks sprints. Yeah. Exactly, and you can get software out very fast. But also, if you're not doing your job as far as testing, you can introduce a lot of bugs very quickly. Yeah. And that's what happens to Facebooks and a lot of the big applications, is that they get code out fast, but they also get bugs. People are like, why is it always failing? Because they're creating stuff very fast. Yeah. Right. And so that's kind of what you get with that. So it depends on what kind of what you're following. Or you're following waterfall, which not too many people do anymore. You spend a lot of time in your planning and your design phases. But if you're doing your agile, your scrum, the turnover is very fast, and you're producing code. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, they say your first day of Facebook, you're promoting code into production. Your first day of Facebook.
Man, that would be scary.
That'd be scary.
That would be so scary to jump into, because for me, on my end as a web developer, to jump into code that I'm not familiar with, and then just to say you going into production, we putting this live this week. It's like hold on, wait a minute, so they must have a really good QA process, man.
You have to,
because there's no way you could just hire people and be like, all right, go. You know.
Yeah, jumps to the word that I said earlier, regression. Out of this scrum, this agile, you got what we call continuous integration. And that is this continuous testing that you do to allow yourself to be able to be agile, and that you're pretty much always testing the application to make sure that you're not introducing bugs and issues. And that's kind of what I own at MasterCard. So to take it back to MasterCard, I own our regression testing suite.
Okay.
And so I ensure that when we leave our development and before we move to go to our higher environments, which is MTF and production, my job is to make sure that I am allowing only the highest quality of code to go through. Okay. That is my job. That is my responsibility. That is my stamp that I put on things. Okay. And so it has to go through me, and I have to give my approval before it can move up to the higher environments.
Okay. And what happens when you don't like it? Are you like, nope? The big sigh. Okay.
I'm not going to use any names because this is going to go out. So I'm not going to use any names. But there was a very big company waiting for a release of our application. I'm not even going to say what application that I do because I don't want to jeopardize anything. But there was a very big company waiting for our code to go into production because they were partnering with MasterCard. And there was a issue in billing. There was a bug. And it was causing our billing to fail, and it was giving the wrong information. And they wanted us to go to production with this, and I told them no. If I know anything, is that I don't mess with the money. And if billing ain't working right, I ain't letting this go.
Listen.
And so, I told him no. I said no. I'm not allowing this to go to production until we fix this issue. I'm not allowing it. No. And what they had to do, because again, like I said, it's very, very big company.
And then they would have came back on you, and it just would have been.
I would rather for them to get mad at me for holding on the release than to introducing a issue that's going to cost us millions of dollars.
Yeah, millions of dollars. Sheesh.
So what we did was we got someone to understand the real life. So it was certain situations that the code failed. And so we got someone to learn the real world, how many times that happens in the real world.
Oh.
So he gave some risk-based assessments on how many times we can expect this issue to occur when we go to production.
Okay.
And it's a very small percentage. Okay. And I said, you guys, if you guys are okay with that, if that's the decision you want to make, then we can allow this code to go to production. But I took, and this guy wrote like a paragraph about how many times it occurred. And I took his paragraph and I pasted everywhere that my signature was on.
This paragraph.
I pasted it right there.
Man, so what happened? Did they approve? Or they were like, nah. No, okay.
And it went up to production, and the next release we fixed the billing issue.
Okay. All right. Well, they was cool with it.
Yeah.
They got money like that. It's cool. It's MasterCard. Yeah. But that's what's up. So I feel like we got the full story of how you became the lead software developer at MasterCard. I guess now, man, I just want to talk about your faith journey because I know it's there. Yeah. I want to know how, like, what was your thinking in all of that time? Like in the 3 months that you were you employed? Before you got a job, like what were you doing? Were you just like on your face?
At home with moms, looking for a job. So no, I wasn't doing too much. I was.
And that's the reality of most college graduates. Is like, I remember I could not find a job for the life of me, man. Like when I first graduated, and I ended up doing a pastoral apprenticeship, and that's how I got into the tech field. So I don't know. I worked at Best Buy in the in-between time while I was applying to all these different companies, and there's one company in particular I had walked in. This is old school. I had physically walked into there like 3 times and handed them my resume, shook somebody's hand, and they were like, yeah, we'll check it out, we'll keep it on file. You know, they give you we'll check on it, throw it in the trash. I don't know what they did but so I was a broke college student anyway, so it wasn't like I had a lot. There was no like real financial pressure. But I was working at Best Buy. I was barely making the ends meet, and then me and Ashley had just got married, and so I was kind of living off her, to be honest. When I think about it, But then I started this pastor apprenticeship, and the apprenticeship actually paid more than working at Best Buy. To become a pastor and basically shadow being a pastor. And at the end of it, I really can't remember how long it was. It was probably like 3 months, I think. It was like a 3-month apprenticeship. At the end of it, the guy that was running it looked at me. He was like, "Well, this is over. What do you want to do next?" And I'm like, "I kind of got a degree that I want to use." he's like, "Well, what's your degree?" I tell him, "Oh, it's industrial technology, computer, multimedia, graphics, blah 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 blah. I know a little bit about a lot." He's like, "Oh, have you tried such and such company?" I'm like, "Yeah, I walked in there like," and I exaggerated. I walked in there like 5 times, and it don't read my resume. He's like, "What? Oh, okay, hold on." Takes out his cell phone, and he's like, "Hello, can I speak to such and such and such?" And he's like, "Yeah, I got Jimmy Miller sitting here. He says he's applied to your company a couple times." "Oh, you do have his resume." "Oh, okay. Get him an interview on Monday." He's like, "All right. Okay, cool. How's Monday?" Dude. Like, so I got the interview on Monday. I'm pretty sure it was like the worst interview I had ever done. And then the following Monday I got the job. And so it was like it was crazy. It was all from a phone call and all through a pastoral apprenticeship that I had done. And like back stories that my entire life people have been telling me, "Oh, you were created to be a speaker. Like, you're supposed to speak." I'm like, no. But now here I am sitting here on the podcast because of that same very prophecy. And I'm now choosing to accept it. I always known that I'm not supposed to be a pastor, bro. Like, this is I ain't no pastor. I think people confuse gifting with roles. Speaking is a spiritual gift. That doesn't mean you have to be a pastor. Like, now I can be relational and I can teach too as well, but that doesn't mean I deserve the role of a pastor. That's a whole different thing.
Well, pastor is more than just Sunday.
Exactly.
Sunday morning. Mm-hmm. So it's a whole lot going on in just Sunday morning. But
Facts. Like, you're a leader. You're with people all the time, and it can look a number of different ways.
Absolutely.
But last year, God made it very clear. He was like, "Bruh, I need you to do this." And it's just a series of events to a point where it was so in my face, where it was like, I have to. Yep. I was like, I have to run after this. I was like, all right, cool. And then ever since then, it's just been through the roof. Like, it's crazy to be sitting here having this conversation right now. It's crazy to me because this time last year, this wouldn't have even been a thought. It's like, this is not what I'm supposed to do. But it's now to the point where, and what I mean is like the opportunities and the doors that are being opened because I said yes to God and it just finally started to accept it have been enormous and crazy. And tomorrow I'm going to meet with a group called Man Up God's Way. I'm sorry, Man Up God's Way. They got over 1 million something followers. Awesome. You know, they're asking me to come. You know, be a host, not like come be a guest, but like sit with us permanently. Awesome. And you know, and talk about God and just be yourself. And then, you know, they're asking me to speak at my church more. I'm doing like the video announcement. Like, I'm in a lot of these different like roles where I'm using my gift, which I guess is speaking. Even like the skepticism in my voice. I can hear it. But yeah, it's just been crazy, man. So I just wanted to ask you, how do you feel about like all of that and the spiritual giftings and
it's God orchestrated all of that.
Absolutely. So I get what you're saying. It's funny because I would not have been here 10 years ago. So I've always had a speech problem.
I would have never guessed.
Always.
Because you killed it tonight.
I slurred my words. Since I was a child, I've always had issue with my speech. Slur my words, lazy tongue, don't enunciate all my words. I've always had issue. And I've always shied away from talking because of the fact that I always had issues with my speaking. so I kind of shied away from doing that. But it was funny because even in college, as you were talking about my life, social life, previously I got saved when I was 11, and you know, I didn't really get serious about following God until like 14, 15, and I got serious about following God, and I really wanted to know and learn more about Him. And then went to college and football and stuff like that. And I remember I taught one Bible study in college. They offered, asked if anyone wanted to teach men's Bible study. I'm like, you know, I've been reading up, and you know, I felt kind of led, and I jumped in and I did it, and I led a Bible study. And again, still the fear of talking has always been there. And from that, I ended up getting an offer later that year to lead men's ministry.
Dang, bro.
And I turned it down. Like I got football. I got computer science. I have all this other stuff I need to do. I don't want to. I can't do this. I can barely talk.
And God's like, let me show you Moses.
and that's exactly what he went to. And he showed me that. And he built me up. And he built me up to the fact that I be able to be confident enough, because I'm hood. I'm sorry. I got my ebonics.
Bruh, like I know y'all hear it all in my voice. I ain't even trying to hide it. Like bumbled the bag and bruh.
I'm so St. Louis. I'm Durn, word.
Listen, we so St. Louis, but we in. They done messed up and let us in.
But yeah, but it's something I worked on, and believe it or not, what helped me, a buddy of mine actually does a video game podcast.
Okay.
We talk about video games. Again, that's my nerdy part. You know, I'm a jock. I did football, I did sports, baseball, all the sports.
Blurs in the building.
Exactly, but I was a nerd. Mm-hmm. I love video games, and so a buddy of mine asked me to do a video game podcast, and I've been doing with him for a while. But it really helped my speech and how to talk and how to articulate words. And,
really?
And
how long you been doing that?
About 10 years. That's what I said.
Oh, wow.
I wouldn't have been able to do this.
Look, I'm so slow. You did say that.
No. It's good. But no, it's really helped me, and I've gotten more confident in talking. And it's funny because as the podcast will allow me to talk and be able to vocalize, the Lord put me in front of His people. Yeah. You know, and I spent 7 years in teens ministry. Okay. 5 of the years, the Lord had me to lead. To be the leader of teen ministry at my church, and so he constantly kept putting me in place where I had to talk, and I kept telling him I can't talk, I stutter, I talk too fast, and all this other stuff, and it didn't matter when He has something for you, when He has something that He has created you to do. It doesn't matter what circumstances you think you can't get over, it can't get by. The point of it all, and what the Bible is. The Bible is a story to show people how He used the least and the less likely to do His work. Yes. So whatever shortcomings you think you have that prevents you from doing this or from doing that or from working with the Lord or just accomplishing anything, give it to the Lord. Bruh. Allow Him to use you despite of your weakness, despite of your issue, despite of your thorn in your side. Man, He'll use you, and I'm a living testimony of that. Yeah, me too. You and me both. Yeah, and this is why I'm doing this podcast too, is to show people that look like us. This is for you too. Like you can get it if we made it, and we're in here, we in the building, and you see how we talking. We so good, we so St. Louis, and we in the building, and God saw fit to place us at the companies that we're at now, not because He wanted us to prosper or anything like that. I mean, I'm sure He does, but because it's also important for us to also go and be a light in those areas that we're working in as well. And I know God is a touchy subject in the workforce, but it's still to a point where even in my role now, like I'm in the darks. I work for Revolt TV. The stuff that they're promoting is literally the culture that is plaguing the black community. So for me, it's difficult. Yeah. And I think for me, I have to navigate, and I've been navigating the space very well, that my coworkers can sense that I'm different. And they know, like, what you do last weekend? I was like, oh, I was at church from no. I was like, okay, so they know what I'm about.
And so I'm working, but I also know that my presence is planting a seed.
Yeah.
So, and it's what's even crazier too. And I don't think this has anything to do with me working there, but the branding is changing. This got more to do with Diddy than it do with me, to be honest. But the branding is changing. We're going in a different direction. We're going in a more positive direction. Awesome. And so if you follow us, Revolt, on Instagram, if you follow us on all the other ones, I think we got Snapchat. We're not very active on Snapchat, but all the other social media platforms, Twitter, yeah, X, not Twitter. You can't say but whatever, Elon. Sure,
we'll see.
Right, but the content is changing up a lot. So you're starting to see more uplifting content. Less of drama, people fighting each other, and half naked women everywhere. Yep. And it's changing into a more evolved process. So I'm happy to be a part of the transition because I know they're gonna keep pursuing this, and I'm happy about it. So, but yeah, I think this has been a really good podcast, man. You educated the people. I think we can wrap on that, man. So this was a great. Anything else you want to give to people?
I do.
Okay.
There's one more piece I wanted to give.
Okay.
For those who may think it's too late for them to get into the tech field, for those who feel like I got two pieces of information for them.
Let's go.
Those people. My mother.
Get your pen pads out.
Get your pen pads out. One of them is an example. My mother, who is. She's now 60 years old. Mm-hmm. My mother went back to school in around 54, 52, got her degree in computer science.
That's
she only
crazy.
had an associate.
That's all you need, though.
She had an associate. She went and got her degree in computer science. She got her master's in cybersecurity. And she's been working with John Deere.
Your mom is cold.
She cold.
Bruh, that's crazy.
She got her bachelor's and her master's.
Bruh, listen, school is like prison to me. I ain't going back. I ain't going back.
But she's always been like a secretary. She's never really worked in the IT field. No, she's
okay.
been very IT. She's pushed me to be IT, and that's the reason why my father he's always been good at math, and my mom has always been on the computer side. But the fact that she went back and did all of that at her age and was happy to do it and successful, it's just a testament to people that
it's never too late, man. That's a really good message. I remember, like, my mom, she was a drafter, and so she used software like AutoCAD and stuff like that, 3D modeling and rendering and stuff like that. And I'll never forget, it was the best piece of advice I ever got in my entire life. It was solid. All she said was, if you get a job in computers, you'll always have a job. And she was right, because she saw the future. She was like, if you understand how to work a computer, you always gonna have a job. And she was dead right. So I'm gonna pass that same advice on to everyone watching. If you get a job in the tech space, you'll always have a job, pretty much. I know it's very tumultuous right now. I'm speaking big because there's a lot of layoffs that's happening right now. However, there are a lot of companies that are still hiring. I just feel like people are just getting shifted around more so than just like people being laid off. But there is a lot of layoffs happening, and I want to be
honest.
Yeah, be honest, but also be mindful of the people that are going through that right now.
Absolutely.
But if you are going through this season of being laid off, hang on. Hang on. It's coming. God is just orchestrating something for you right now. That's all it is. Keep trying. It might take 4, 5, 6 months, but keep going. But hang on just a little bit longer, because if this is something that you still desire, God is going to orchestrate it for you. I promise you that. So